Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome to my channel. My name is Javon, and in today's video, I am going to be speaking about a chapter in my life when I was once homeless in the concrete jungle of Brooklyn, New York. Forget about it. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I lived there all my life. And at a very young age, I found myself homeless, living in the streets, living in the subway, eventually finding my way into a shelter in Queens. And, I was always looking for a job every time, but I could not find one. And that was my predicament. I was the only person in the shelter with this wonderful breeze here in my land, my farm, which I now live. And so let's go from Brooklyn to living here, having this beautiful paradise, this oasis. And so I was the only person in the shelter with a suit, because I was able to get one with this assistance program. And so every morning I will put on my suit, and look all dapper and go to these interviews and never landing a job. Till one day, this opportunity opened up when I looked into this newspaper, and it said, "Do you want to live in paradise?" I said, "Hell yes, son. Aight, yo." Because that's how I spoke before. And I spoke more like this, but I worked hard to get rid of my accent. So it said, "Do you want to live in paradise?" It was a job opportunity to work in a cruise ship in Hawaii. And so I jumped at that opportunity. I went to that interview looking all dapper, looking all fly, you know what I'm saying, son? And I was like, yo, I'm here for that job, yo. I'm here for that job, you know what I'm saying? And so the lady would ask me, why did I want that job? No sugarcoating, nothing. I said, you know why? Because I am living in the streets right now. I am homeless. I'm trying to get out of this predicament. I'm trying to dig myself out of that hole. And she was so quick. Boom, stamped it. You got the job. And I'm very grateful for that wonderful woman for, saying, you know what? Let's give this guy an opportunity. They flew me out to Maryland, where I was doing the job training. And then they flew me to Miami, to this brand new ship that came from Germany. And from Miami, we went straight to Hawaii. And I worked in Hawaii for 6 months. Going from Waikiki to Maui to Kona to Kauai and back again. It was an American flagship, so it's only Americans that work there, And so 6 months of doing that, working every day, 7 days a week for 6 months. And, I was not, they give you a month off after the 6 months, and then you could come back. I said, nope, I'm taking my savings. I'm coming back home to New York. And I got myself a studio apartment. I started digging myself out of the hole that I was in. And then I found a great job at this well-known hotel at the airport. I was a bar waiter, the same job that I had in Hawaii. And then I eventually worked up to being a bartender. I was making so much money a night. I mean, great job, great benefits, great everything. It was like a dream job for me. I was also a DJ, and but I was mostly doing bartending work in New York. And I found myself, oh, beautiful bird. I found myself coming to vacation here in the magical paradise that is Borinquen, because it's similar to Hawaii, because I was not going back 12 hours, 12-hour flight to go to Hawaii from New York. This is the closest thing to Hawaii. You know, the beaches, I love the beaches. And another thing I could say about Hawaii is that I could say that I never lived over there, because I spent every day drinking it away over there. Spending it, drinking it away, I was so miserable. I was so hateful, so angry at the world for you know, the things that I have been through at an early age, that I was not a nice person to be around. But anyway, so I came here, and I would do the same thing. I would just drink, boom, 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 vacation. Woohoo, it's party time, baby! And I would just come here, drink my days away. And I said, you know, this is a perfect spot because, you know, everyone is drinking, everyone is having a good time. You know, this is an opportunity here. I could open a bar, a beach bar, and continue drinking my life away. And so I thought, maybe let's do that. So 3 or 4 years working at that hotel, I decided one day to take my savings and just come here with no real plans. I just came here with my savings. You know, I got me a little apartment. I mean, I rented a house because one of my best friends has family here who has a house, and that really, so I got that house really cheap, and it was, you know, I was so grateful for that. But I never opened a bar. I just decided to go DJ all around the island for about 3 or 4 years. But I was not happy being a DJ. You know, I was drinking my days away like I did in Hawaii. I was repeating the same patterns. And so I started to care for the beaches. I started to walk with my signs. I started to see this beautiful island. I started to wake up to the beauty of life all around me and within. And so I quit being a DJ to focus on doing that. I started to grow plants at the same time, and that's why I started to grow this consciousness. I started to awaken to the beauty of life because I started to grow plants. And I said, wow, this is nice. I like to grow tomatoes. I like to, you know, as I always say, I don't grow plants. The plants, they have grown me. And so that has been my my journey. I started to work in somebody's farm. And then, you know, 6 years ago, this beautiful land presented itself to me. You know, I've been living in this magical paradise for 15 years now. And 6 years ago was the time that I was able to buy my property, because it was the steal of a lifetime, and buy my home. And so I bought my home, and now I'm a homeowner. I went from homelessness in Brooklyn, New York, to living in the magical paradise that is Borinquen, having my own home, having my land, having so much land to grow my food forest, to live off the grid here and live differently. And as I always say, here in Borinquen is where I found my peace, my freedom, and my happiness. And so, yeah, you know, it's what a journey for me. What a journey in the book that I am writing, right? And I share my story to inspire others on their path, you know, because in Brooklyn, New York, I live to impress, and now I live to inspire. And, you know, this is a story of perseverance, of growth, of evolution, and I think we need to grow stronger, grow wiser from everything, because everything is a lesson in life, and I think we have to learn from these lessons. We cannot allow these lessons to break us. Like when I was homeless, I was just depressed. I mean, I wanted to kill myself. You know, I wanted to end my life. But I'm glad I didn't, because here is this beautiful life that was waiting for me. Life threw me into a detour for me to be here right now. Everything that happened to me in the past had to happen for me to be here right now, because if all those things never happened, I would not find my way to be here, to find myself, to rediscover who I truly was under the layers of conformity. You know, we could overcome so much, but one of the things what we have to overcome is the obstacles of this mind that controls us. And my journey has been of controlling the mind, of controlling myself, disciplining myself. You know, every day we are born again. Every day is a new day to write a new chapter filled with beauty. And my book is just getting started, baby. Because I'm gonna fill each chapter after this with growth, with evolution, with the beauty of life. And it's so beautiful to have my own home. You know, here I live with one solar panel, one battery, collect rainwater, living a different life. I live barefoot. I'm growing this beautiful food forest. Oh, yes, and another thing that I want to add is that I live a completely simple life here in Borinquen without much money, because I found my happiness with less. And so, you know, I live a debt-free life here, you know, living the way I do, collecting rainwater and living off the grid helps. But I will make a video about that chapter in my life. You know, I do tours to make money. If anybody would like to take a tour with me, you know, I'm also trying to get a new car right now to continue my beach cleanups and my mission with the beach. I have my GoFundMe here. You know, at the same time, I would like to take that car and grow my tour business, so that I can make more money and make this life much simpler. You know, again, finding that peace, freedom, and happiness to live the way you want to live. And that is why I always see Brooklyn as my cage. And it's so beautiful to find my wings and learn how to fly. And that should be the journey for each and every one of us, is to fly. Fly, baby, fly so much higher than what we know. You know, we should, every day is that new day, you know, to really spread your wings. And I'm very grateful, so grateful to be here today, alive, to be able to experience this. You know, there's always going to be downfalls. There's always going to be downfalls in our journey. All of the things that happened to me had to happen for me to be here today. You know, it had to happen as it did, and I had to find my way. I had to navigate. I had to circumvent all the obstacles and navigate my way to where I'm at. And I'm sure, you know, life is always going to be a bumpy road. You're going to have your bumps through life. Again, it's up to us to make that road smoother. It's up to us for us to learn from the bumps that come along the way. And again, grow stronger, grow wiser. And so, yeah. What a beautiful journey it has been. It has been a beautiful journey. So I'm hoping to continue to make more videos talking about my chapters, my journey in here in Borinquen, going from Brooklyn to New York to this beautiful to this beautiful paradise. You know, on my blog, on my website, I write a lot, so you can find many wonderful articles on my journey, my layers of conformity. So yeah, I'm very grateful for everyone who follows me. Please comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Please like, please share if you found this inspiring. You know, maybe someone out there needs to, you know, wants to buy a home somewhere, and maybe something that I say might help. So yeah, visit me on all social media where I share more every day of my journey at Radically Wild. And again, my website, radicallywild.com. Stay wild, everyone. Whoa. Ah. Whoa.